You know, the juju is so good in here. Bitcoin literally just spiked up $300 in the last 60 seconds because of you all here. Happy Sunday. This is the last Sunday we have for 2024. And a shout out to 2024. Yes, December has sucked, but 2024 was magnificent. So everybody, not, again, throwing a cold blanket on you, but don't expect 2025 to be as good as 2024. We might get some craziness, but we're not going to get a whole bunch of 6Xs and 10Xs and 20Xs. That's just the reality. Anyway, let's dig into 2025, what the game plan is, and all the top questions from the week. And we were talking about what else? MicroStrategy, AltSeason, security on the road, Bitcoin, a new AI potential play that we will examine, supply shocks, what else? How to identify and analyze MicroStrategy, Sol versus MicroStrategy, and another interesting question, and what makes different stocks, proxies, very different too. And yeah, let's get into it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sean Donnelly, TNT Tesla, and Kate as well for being here. Let's go. Let's go. It's a wet, wintry, cold day. I hope it's nice where you are. And disclaimer, not financial advice. All the questions come from Patreon. Shout out to everybody on Patreon. Appreciate you making this show possible every single day. First question. Let's jump into this one from Multitasking Ninja. Hi, James and I, team and mods. Thank you for all you do. Yay. Can the infinite money glitch work for individuals? I borrow USDC against my Bitcoin and buy more Bitcoin. Wait for appreciation, rinse, and repeat. Yeah, this is, wouldn't call that an infinite money glitch, but it's a little bit tricky. But we'll talk about another infinite money glitch in a little while. But first of all, I have to always recommend never, ever, 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 ever borrow to speculate. That is dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. You only do this at bottom of the bear market if you have to do it at all. Or when Bitcoin's more mature. What I mean by that is in a couple of years, it'll stabilize. It won't be as volatile. The bigger it gets, the more stable it will become. And then it's going to be easier to borrow against it, just like real estate. But remember also this, when borrowing against your Bitcoin, make sure the space is more secure with more reputable players. Companies like Fidelity, I envision, maybe Blackrock in the future, will allow you to borrow against your Bitcoin. And also remember the rules, the risk rules. One of them is loan to value. Make sure you only hit 25%. Don't go above that, or you could risk liquidation in a very serious downturn. And that's it. But do not do it now. Not with Bitcoin at $93,650. And it's madness. Who would have thought we blast to 108K? And mean revert a little bit. But again, nothing goes straight up. But it's been a very good year. So be appreciative of the year we have had. Next question is, this is the first time actually Brightside has posted. How can we use math to know if the MicroStrategy premium to Bitcoin is a good value or not, especially as MicroStrategy increases leverage? Fellow Wharton alum inquiring minds want to know. W95. Woohoo. You were there before me. Excellent. So first of all, there's a couple of things we can do. And, you know, a lot of people like to break down the debt, and we do in the fully diluted number of shares outstanding. But there's also a whole bunch of easier ways to do it too. So I'm going to look at four things that I kind of look at. One is I just updated it this morning. This is Satoshis per share. I will blow this up so I can read the exact number. But if you look at where we came from on the 11th of August, 2020, there was 22,311 Satoshis per share. And remember, the price of Bitcoin was super cheap back then. It was like 10 grand. And now we have 158,158,000. No, hang on a second. There's a problem in that number. There's a problem in that. It should be 158,158 Satoshis per share. There's something wrong with that other 200, or maybe it's overlapping a number. But now we have 158,000 Satoshis per share. A week ago, it was 153,000. The week before that, it was 148,000. The week before that, 145,000. But the point is, what you're doing here is you're getting more Satoshis per share as each time they buy more Bitcoin. And that is because they use the premium that they have in the stock to buy Bitcoin basically at a discount using their ATM shares. And I know the ATM is a buzzsaw. Basically, last week he sold, definitely Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whichever days they were. I don't know with all the stuff going on this week. To be honest, I can't track the days. But the point is, he is going to buy again tomorrow. He bought last week. He'll announce it tomorrow. And this will also change. I'll update this model and share it as always in Patreon. The second way that I like to look at where we are is the Nav Premium. Right now, the Nav Premium is 1.9423, approximately, depending on which way you measure it, 238 or 2313, but it is below 2. And that typically, historically, means it could be an opportunity. Remember, we need Bitcoin to kick off, get back above 100K for this thing to get, build up a lot more excitement. Right now, there could be some tax selling into the end of the year. We're not sure. The volatility is lower than normal. Ever since the QQQ edition, the actual price has gone down, but so has the price of Bitcoin to some extent. But the premium is down too, down from about 2.02 to 1.92, which is a 5% haircut too. So things are not as high as they used to be. When we look at the Nav Premium chart, the third item, you can see here, we are below that 2 level. And you can see that we went as high as nearly 3.5x during the spike in November 11/11, right before 11/11 when they announced the 42 billion plan. That got a lot of people excited, but since then the excitement has worn off. But we will revert. Remember, most of the time so far this year, the Nav Premium is above 2, so we're under it right now. And if you want to get really fancy and really play the ARB, which I've been doing since 2020, is the ArbCloud. So here, and I zoomed out, this is the daily chart. You can zoom into 15-minute chart, 1 hour, whatever, it works. And I made the cloud nice and broad. But that cloud there, the big gray shadow, bluey gray shadow, typically when you are above the cloud, that's when you flip your MicroStrategy into Bitcoin. That means MicroStrategy is heated. And when you are below the cloud, that's when you flip Bitcoin back into MicroStrategy. And we are right at that stage right now. Again, if history repeats. A lot of the time, we're above, some of the time we're below. And if you tighten up the cloud, you can get much more chop as well in there during the process. And the key thing here, the top band of this ArbCloud is $429, which is where it should go to given the current price of Bitcoin. Remember, this model ties into the price of Bitcoin, ties into the number of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy hold, ties into the intrinsic value of the enterprise, all that type of stuff. And then you can measure it all those ways. So thank you, Brightside, for the question. There are the 4 things I look at. Remember, this is tricky. When the bear market hits and Bitcoin price goes down, this will become a little less ugly. And the Nav Premium is also will tank a lot more too. But in the meantime, I just to set the tone here for 1 second. My bull target in 2023 for MicroStrategy was $1,200. After the 10-for-1 split, that's $120. And we are 330 now. So we've come a long way, an awful long way in a short amount of time. And they are the markets. Markets don't go up all the time. They go up and they go down. And Christmas period always sucks. It's a happy time, but not for the markets. Let's get into the next question. This is also related to MicroStrategy from Mataru. Good day, James. Must be Australian. Can you give your opinion on the new CMSTR product backed by Adam Back? Going back and forth between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, even on the weekends, seems like an opportunity our community might want to take advantage of. First heard about this when listening to James Checkmatey and Jeff Walton, PunterJeff, interview released on 12/23/2024. And I did look at this as well. And first of all, let's dig into it. It's not as you describe. And they only talked about it for a few minutes on the video, at the very end of the video as well. But first of all, this is not backed by Adam Back. Adam Back, friend of the channel, is one of the original gurus. He was the guy who basically invented Hashcash, which is key part of Bitcoin and how Bitcoin mining is used. But no, this CMSTR product is not backed by Adam Back. But Adam Back is a proponent of MicroStrategy. He does understand what they're doing, and he agrees with it. So first of all, but he's an OG Bitcoiner who understands everything about Bitcoin and the proxies. Also, the CMSTR product is, I think it's a product out of Luxembourg from a company called STOKR. I spelled STOKR wrong. There's no E in STOKR. It's STOKR. My bad. It must have been an auto spell check. And they do it on the Liquid network. Basically, it's a tokenized security backed by stocks from MicroStrategy. And it's, again, there's no direct link between Adam Back and this product. I do want to share that. Now, I tried to get in there and see, and I picked a number of different browsers, a number of different countries, retail investor, accredited investor, institutional. I couldn't get in. So I don't know what country it works in. I tried the Netherlands. I tried Albania. I tried Australia. I know it's not going to be allowed in the UK and it's not going to be allowed in the US. So I even tried Luxembourg, where it's apparently from, and Liechtenstein didn't work there either. So I couldn't get in. But I can tell you this. It is a tokenized TradFi asset on the Liquid network, which is pretty cool. There's going to be a lot more of this coming forward. As I said a couple of years ago, everything in the future will be completely tokenized. So brace yourselves for that. And a little bit about the math. It's not something for retail investors unless you got pretty big bags, but it's accredited investors or institutional investors only. Each note fully backed by 100 shares of MicroStrategy Inc. The initial subscription was 4,000 shares, total value about $5 million. And that's all we know. It's not something that is an automatic ARB model like what I have, what I've been using for years like this. It doesn't flip between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin at all. It's just a tokenized bag of MicroStrategy shares. So, yeah, don't get too excited. Nothing for us right now. But the future will be tokenized. Next question is from Gotta Know. First time question. Woohoo. Thankfully to God, your research has absolutely changed the course of my family's financial future. Thank you for saying that too. Now, this question is about Sol Strategies. If Sol Strategies is the MicroStrategy equivalent, would you convert any Sol for Sol Strategies? Are they following the MicroStrategy playbook closely? Is there any visibility into their debt and management? So there is a lot. I have looked into this a lot. Immediately when I discovered it, we got in, and since then it's been up 1,500%. It has far outperformed Solana. We'll get into it, but let's look at the chart for 1 second. Yeah, the chart does behave a little bit differently, but the trend is up. Again, it's up 1,500% since we got in, and it's just been on a complete rampage. This is the ATR model, but I do want to show something that I use the deviation for this asset on the ATR model, not the trend. Deviation. You always have to toggle between the signal logic to understand exactly how assets can be very different, especially things like FX, commodities, and now Sol Strategies. They prefer the deviation model, not the trend. So it says it doesn't behave like Solana does, which is unusual. Let's look at this is the CYFRF, which is the OTC US ticker for Sol Strategies, divided by Solana. And you can see it has completely blown away spot Sol. Absolutely smoked it. While Sol actually has been pretty much down since we've got in. This thing has gone from strength to strength. And people are wondering, what happened? Is it too late to get in? Well, let's talk about the difference between Sol Strategies and MicroStrategy. And these are just things that jump out at me. First of all, MicroStrategy holds Bitcoin. Sol holds Sol. Solana also, or Sol Strategies also buys staking firms that stake Solana, and they earn yield through staking Solana. And the money earned by these stakers is phenomenal because a huge amount of action is happening on the Solana chain. So people that run, staking, the staking firms, validators, are making a ton of money. Now, MicroStrategy is to use Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Sol Strategy provides Solana exposure through stock ownership, and they invest in things like validators and some Solana itself. Now, this is the tricky part because Sol Strategies offers a better ROI because of staking. They get nearly 8% yield, and they get money off of their staking investments too. So they're making a double whammy, whereas MicroStrategy investment is just in Bitcoin's value appreciation. In full disclosure, I have a bag of Sol strategies. And the other thing that they're trying to do is trying to get listed on NASDAQ, which is where MicroStrategy is too. And MicroStrategy was just added to the NASDAQ 100. So the question is, I'm not sure what happens if the adoption of Solana continues at this frenetic pace, and they continue to invest in validators, and they continue to get staking yield, and the price appreciation goes to the moon in the banana zone, the stock could do very, very well. But it's not MicroStrategy. It's different. It's also a lot smaller. MicroStrategy got in early, got in with a lot of conviction back in 2020, and now they're riding those coattails. This one is a different animal, different beast altogether. But still, as you see, absolutely smoked the performance of Sol. So if you had done this back in September timeframe of this year, you would have made 1,600% versus holding Solana. So you would have been very clever. Is it too late to do it now? I'd say perhaps. We're not sure. Anyway, I'm still holding. I like it. Interesting to diversify your bags too. Next question is from Rick. It's been a while since you were 2 years ago. Wow. Been in the community a long time. Been following you since via DCA when it was you, Rob, and George. Yeah, the first DCA. And the current DCA crew is the best ever. Thank you for sharing that. We are all very diverse, which is good. I'm interested in what quarter next year could you see altcoins reach the cycle end? And could you give an overview of the current predictions and scenarios that caught your interest? Well, it's very, very tricky to predict short term what's going to happen. The longer the time frame you have, the more successful you can be. So let's talk about this. We will talk about AltSeason tomorrow on DCA, when it's going to kick in and what it could mean for certain assets. So we've already put together kind of an agenda, which is kind of fascinating. We'll share that also on Patreon later. But here, these are the top 6 items that I see as being critical to triggering the so-called alt season. Now, first of all, typically what happens, you need to see a big, big, big spike in Bitcoin. And then folks take profit and then they rotate into alts. I will stress this again. This is what happened in the past. Not sure if it's going to happen this year. Remember, Bitcoin's a much bigger asset. It takes a lot more money for it to move. And you can see the amount of buying by IBIT and MicroStrategy, nearly 1 million Bitcoin in 11 months. It's bonkers. No, they hold nearly 1 million Bitcoin, but IBIT's only been there for 11 months. So it's pretty crazy, the amount of growth and the amount that these firms are sucking in. So it's a different cycle this time. I do want to stress that. But typically, historically, if Bitcoin spiked to 150K, there are people who would take profit and then they would load into the alts. Next, we need big new tech release. For example, Firedancer from Solana. We need a new ETF. And I don't know which ETF is going to come first. A lot of chatter about the Solana ETF coming first because it is the #1 crypto out there in the world, despite what other people will say. It's where 2/3 of all transactions happen from 40,000 cryptos. So you can take with that data as you want. But there could also be, with the new administration in government in the US, there could also be in-kind and staking capabilities. We just showed the power of staking on Sol strategies and running validators. Imagine if the ETF is in-kind, where you deposit your Solana. You don't have to move to fiat first. And then you withdraw your Solana. That would be powerful. And then you get staking benefits. Very powerful. So we'll see if that happens. A lot of people believe it could happen. Also, we need more adoption. We need to get to 100 million daily active users to use something like Firedancer. And if that happens, we all succeed. The crypto market cap goes to 10 trillion pretty fast. We need regulation to support all of this, especially the alts. Right now, we don't have that. And we need some news break, like a big partnership. For example, I know Blackrock are trying to build a new stock exchange in Texas. If they want to do it effectively and efficiently, they have to run it off a blockchain. Which blockchain they use, I don't know. But that could also be interesting. So these catalysts need to kick in, and then they will fire up the alt season. Not all of them need to happen at the same time, but watch this space carefully. So that's my take. And I do believe, when will it happen? Q2 or Q3 2025. So we have 6 to 9 months. But remember, predicting short-term stuff is very hard. But I think summer 2025, have your seatbelts on. Could be a fun time. Next question is from Show and Go. When the supply shock finally occurs and everyone is scrambling for every spare Bitcoin, could the exchanges pause selling to retail and keep stock to supply the big players, i.e. Blackrock and Co.? I'm trying to imagine how it'll play out. Thank you, Sensei. So this is, again, the amount of consumption by the ETFs and by Sailor and by the 60 treasury companies is monstrous. Will a supply shock happen? I'm not sure. Will the long-term holders just feed that supply? I think the long-term holders have sold pretty much what they traditionally sell, at least 50 to 60% of it at this stage of the cycle. A lot of them took profit already at 100K, and then it went higher, and the selling is kind of more subdued right now. Could a lot more happen at 120K, 150K? Yes, but we're not sure. The amount that's being purchased and the amount of potential stock that could be issued by these treasuries like MicroStrategy, etc., is enough to gobble everything. This is becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I've done the math 100 times over. MicroStrategy alone, just that one player, I want people to understand this, is enough to use up all of Bitcoin, all that long-term holders can sell, and all that the Bitcoin miners can buy. And the Bitcoin miners are hodling right now. They're not selling. They're actually issuing stock to buy more Bitcoin. They're issuing convertible bonds to buy more Bitcoin. So the traditional supply is gone away. And I could talk for hours about this particular topic because it's fascinating. But when you have the people that are supposed to be distributing Bitcoin to the market that all of a sudden are gathering it, holding it, it changes the calculus completely. So where will they get their hands on this stuff? I don't know. I did check the OTC desks before I did this. They have about 200,000 Bitcoin. Most of it, 85% of it, is within Coinbase. But let's talk about what would happen to these exchanges. Is what you say possible? First of all, the big players, they do buy through the OTC desks, and the OTC desks still have a balance. The question is, how long will that balance last? I don't know. I can't answer that. Second, it would be illegal for exchanges to do this. Not saying it would stop them. We've seen some leaders of exchanges go to jail for doing illegal stuff. So, funny stuff always happens when money is involved with these types of enterprises. And third, exchanges live off liquidity and volume. If they dry up the exchange volume, i.e. stop selling to retail, etc., they die. Or the retail investors will go somewhere else. So games are played. Could they do it this time? I don't know. We'll see. There were rumors early 2024, and I can't substantiate these, but there were OTC desks on the phone to miners asking them for their bags and other people that have large positions. We don't know if that's real or not, but there was a mini supply crunch earlier 2024. We'll see if it happens again in 2025. I think something will happen. It'll be fun to watch. Then we'll see the price go crazy. Next question is from Alvocado. Hi, James and team. Thank you for everything you do. My pleasure. I wanted to know your thoughts about Applied Digital Corporation as an AI play. The ticker is APLD. Sounds like Apple. Let's have a look. First of all, their focus is kind of AI infrastructure equipment, hosting, all that type of stuff. In my opinion, and I've seen this happen many times over the last more than 30 years, service providers, people that lay pipes and do, warehousing and hosting and all that type of stuff, they're not the creme de la creme. They all tend to be, all profits, excess profits tend to be competed away. That's very important to us. So they are offering a very capital intensive business. And I do believe all hosting services will become completely commoditized. The only differentiation they can possibly offer is price. I can do it better, cheaper, faster than you. And then the competitor says the same thing, and then the other competitor says the same thing, and then everybody competes away all excess profits, and they end up cutting each other's throats, kind of like Bitcoin miners, not dissimilar. So be careful in those spaces. Also, the other big danger is their infrastructure that they build. You know, for example, with AI, you have to build out very quickly H100s. Now it's all about the B200s. This is the Hopper versus Blackwell. The H100s are part of the Hopper architecture. That's the H, named after Grace Hopper. And the B200s, B for Blackwell, they're much more powerful, much more geared towards AI learning. And again, if you've got a firm that invests a ton in H100s and all of a sudden B200s are the thing, you're already sitting on capital that's worthless. And that's why, for example, Tesla XAI, the XAI is using now the B200s. They have them, and they have a ton of H100s, which are actually very good for FSD training. So XAI will give all that hardware over to Tesla for training. So they'll have like 200,000 H100s. So anyway, all these things cost billions and billions. So this is very expensive and very difficult to compete. The key is to generate proper value, okay? Invest in pure, true, I always say pure form. This is pure form AI, for example, Tesla. Things like autonomous driving capabilities are very, very hard to copy. They've been gathering information for 7 years, billions of miles. Nobody can do that. Also, you got to be on the front of S-curve disruption, which is autonomy in vehicles, and the same FSTE technology we use in robots. Again, the brain, Tesla will have the brain. And innovation and R&D, research and development, is key, not connecting wires, okay? So again, there's a reason I make very concentrated bets in very few assets that are the winners in their categories, not dabbling around on the fringes. And if I do dabble around on the fringes, it's like 0.3% of my portfolio. So pure form AI, new term, not hosting facilities. Now, let's see what the data says. Let's have a look. This is the APLD as the ticker. Their debt is 3 times revenue, and they're losing a ton of money. They're losing 150 million a year, and debt is 450 million. Ew, they got no cash, which means they're probably not only issuing a truckload of debt, burning all the cash, but probably diluting a bunch of shares too. I didn't even bother checking out the dilution in our dilution model because it's not worth digging into. Let's look at the chart and see what the ATR model says. ATR was originally designed to identify zombies. This one's at layer level 1, which is zombie level. It's down from a $35 all-time high in 2021. Now it's trading at $8. And remember as well, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's good. And also doesn't mean it's an AI play. Offering AI infrastructure is not an AI play. Think about the level of AI that you need to be at, and who has the moat, and who has the most data, and who has the best roadmap, and who has the best track record. And then you find your answer. Don't dabble around the fringes. Next question. See this one from Katie333. I started watching you back in 2021. I'm a 28-year-old female who has retinitis pigmentosa, which is the reason I jumped headfirst into investing. Well, congratulations, Katie, on heading into investing, but I'm very sorry about your retinitis pigmentitis. I actually looked into it a little bit, and I know you want to afford treatment someday, and I got some good news. So, not sharing hopium here, but looking into this, I think you can, if you take high doses of vitamin A, it can help slow down the development of this thing. And genetic therapy is becoming very advanced, especially with AI. And I believe in a few years, they might have a solution for this as well. But in full disclosure as well, my cones also suck. What you have disintegrates your cones. I can't see in the dark whatsoever. Last night, I drove FSD in frozen fog, snow, ice. I couldn't see anything. If I was driving the car, I'd be driving at 20 miles an hour. But because FSD was doing it, it could drive at 70 miles an hour. And I have no idea how it even saw the lines in the road because I couldn't see anything. And they were covered in snow too. So I don't know. I don't know how it did it. But back to your question. Let's get back to your question here. Sorry for digressing. And I hope the progress is not fast and a cure comes soon. And I believe it will. Now, I was lucky enough to buy a house in 2020. Good job. Market was good then. Became a whole coiner. Woohoo. Keep your security safe. And have stashed away Tesla stocks. Great. I consider myself an okay beginner investor with my weekly buys of Bitcoin, Sol, Tesla, and I just now started buying MicroStrategy. Is there anything else I should learn in the meantime to try to position myself better for the future or continue down this route? I don't know how to trade, but I'm not sure I have the guts to do it either. And any input from Uncle James and team is appreciated. Love from Florida. I love this question. It's very, very good. And I actually love the way you know your limitations too, which is important. If you think you're not a trader, you don't have the courage to trade. If you do, you could get into trouble. So congratulations there. I do want to share a couple of things about kind of my view of where we are in the market, which ties into the game plan for 2025. My game plan may not be yours, but at this stage, I am much more conservative. And that's reflected in the amount that I'm trading, the amount that I'm investing. I'm conserving cash. I'm taking profits. I am rotating into Tesla on big dips when I can. Please give us the $400 Tesla price, please. And I'm buying Sol under 200 with very limited cash, by the way, just nibbling a little bit. And we discussed MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin history. And right here at $330, it is in the kill zone, but beware the ATM buzzsaw because Michael Saylor continues to sell shares, which suppresses the price. If he wasn't selling so many shares to buy Bitcoin, the price would be a lot higher. You know, be above 400. But the point is, we do keep going into that buzzsaw. And remember, allocations matter. Very important. So what I'm trying to do is, pivot much more away from crypto at this stage. And that'll be a big theme for 2025 into Tesla. I just hope the prices stay down, but the future for Tesla is extremely high. But remember, we're more than 2/3 the way through this bull run. Things are getting close to being toppy. Again, Bitcoin at like 94K. We've got Solana at $192. After all coming up from very, very low levels. And that's what I would do. So maybe nibble a bit of MicroStrategy, but watch Bitcoin very carefully. If Bitcoin gets to 120K, by the way, I did my 2025 prediction video. It's like everybody's like, oh my God, he's so conservative, he's so bearish. Some of the targets are pretty high. Anyway, we'll see. But it's better to sell too soon than sell too late. Remember that. So good luck with everything, and we'll keep an eye on things. I promise to keep an eye on research as well in that area. Next question is from T. Sipper. I plan to travel the world in 2026, which could be the bear market. I feel nervous about my crypto apps on my phone in case I was robbed, despite 95% being in cold storage. Any advice on managing my portfolio while traveling? Thank you for what you do. Yes, there's a couple of little things you can do to be safe. Again, I'm not a security advisor, but make sure if you do have a phone, you have a good one. Use very complex pins and biometrics. So even if it is stolen, nobody can get into it. Also, avoid public Wi-Fi. And if you have to use it, make sure you use a VPN so nobody can see what you're doing. And cold storage, make sure your hardware wallet is not with you. Leave it in whatever country you come from in a very secure place. And use a hot wallet only for small amounts of crypto, and use hot wallets for different purposes. You might have one hot wallet for perp trading, one hot wallet for NFTs, one hot wallet for spending, etc. One hot wallet for emergencies, but make sure they're all segregated. Very, very important as well for different special purposes. And there's more you can do too. So 2026, there is a chance that the bear market could kick in Q3 or October, November timeframe 2025. So you've got lots of time. But I don't like being away from the markets. Keep an eye on the market. Have a very cryptic way, if you can, of accessing your cold storage seed. So if something does catastrophically happen to one of your assets, for example, a double spend problem with Bitcoin, or heaven forbid, a quantum hack, stuff that's very unlikely, but you never know, there's always a 1% chance, or a market crash or World War III, you need to be able to get access and sell. Okay, very, very important. Sell and reevaluate, move into a stable coin or whatever other safe form you have there as well. But you have lots of time. Start taking profits circa summer, maybe even earlier, summer 2025, and keep maybe some of your core positions, some percentage of them per the profit-taking model, but do not be blind and do not be fully vested when you're on the road. Because if something does happen in 2026, and odds are it will, you need to be able to deploy and buy things cheap. So that's what I'd say. And again, move into either AI stocks or Tether. Sounds like you might be all crypto, but try to rethink about how you make your allocations and enjoy traveling around the world. Lucky you. Lucky you. And final part before we get some live questions. This week we donated to Pause Patas. This is in honor of our awesome moderator, Sean Donnelly, who never misses a stream. I don't know how you do it, buddy. Every single day, no matter what time you are here. So we wanted to help you out and do something in your honor. So this is for you, buddy. And don't forget DCA is tomorrow. And hit the like if you want to amplify your intelligence, as I say. So let's get into a couple of live questions now as well. And we'll tackle more of these themes. There's lots of changes happening, for example, with the US tax situation. We'll talk about that, the IRS and wallets tomorrow too, as well as some bull targets for some assets, all the top questions that are coming in from Patreon. We got Sir Winston in the house. CYFRF has been good to us this year. Is $1.80 a stock worth holding onto, or wouldn't be bought at the current price? Looking to harvest cash for dips. I like Sol strategies. That's one of the ones that I will keep. For me, it's a small position, but it's been a very good position after doing so well. So I'm holding it. I would lighten the load, and I don't know what your allocations are. It's very difficult to understand where you're coming from without knowing how heavy a concentration you have in certain things. If you are 20% Sol strategies, yes, take some off the table. If you are 0.3%, keep it. So that's what I'd say. And watch, we have to wait, because that thing will kick off when Solana kicks off. And I believe Solana will kick off sometime Q1, Q2, or latest Q3 2025. We shall see. Just got to wait for that moment. Then we'll be ready. Hi, Nguyen. Thank you, James. Had an awesome year. Woohoo. Thank you so much for being here. Charles Kincannon, in light of the year-end dip, is it still a good idea to hold cash? Or could some last-minute nibbling on Sol, Bitcoin, MicroStrategy be in our New Year's resolutions? It could be. It depends on who you are. At this stage of the market, I'd rather be heavier in cash. Like when I say heavy, I mean about 7%, than deploying. It's very hard to get a 2x or 3x from this stage of the market, and that's kind of what I look for. I'd almost prefer not risking money than deploying at this stage. But again, as I mentioned before, I think 330 for MicroStrategy is good, $400 for Tesla is good, under 200 for Solana is good, Sui around $3 is good, Zeus 50, 60 cents is good. They're the things that my alarms go off when these limits hit. But yeah, that's how I'm playing it. But anything I would buy now would be something I would like to buy long term. I don't like paying short term capital gains taxes too. Very important. Sir Winston, here's to all the animals helped by us. And thank you so much, Sir Winston. You're amazing. Dragos, I'm retiring in 2 days at the age of 49. Party! Champagne, crack the champagne. Dragos is retiring at 49. That's cool. That's really cool. I made a plan. Funny inside story. My father worked his entire life, got cancer and died. Never had a retirement. And I said to myself, this is in the year 2000. I said, I'm going to retire by 50. I made a plan and I stuck with it. And now I'm stuck with you guys doing these videos all the time. So, but great. But remember, Dragos, one thing I will advise: when you retire, you're going to get real bored. So make sure you've got lots of activities or trading or something as well. Michael T, thank you so much as well. Shark Lover, James and I team, you've helped so many people and animals over the years. Yes, maybe it brings good karma and good kudos. So best wishes to you and Happy New Year to everybody. And thank you for your super sticker as well. BD McGee, Nick M, Forrest M, Swiper No Swiping, and Dog1. It's Sunday. Let's see if we get our Sunday evening pump, which will kick in about 3 hours' time. It's 1:30 Pacific. Thank you all, everybody. Happy New Year. See you all tomorrow in DCA. We've got 2 more days of this year. So stay healthy. 2025 will be interesting. And it could be crazy. It could be absolutely phenomenal. We'll be ready either way. We've been prepping for this for a long time. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Sean Donnelly, Team Tesla K8, and people all over the world. We have Oguar Moreno in Mexico and all the great people. And I'll be here every day. Every day. Thank you all. Have a good night.